Hello. Thank you for having me here. Thank you, AFCM, and thank you, Mr. Rami, and the whole team for keeping up with all of the things I was asking for the presentation. My name is Mohammed Abu Naga. I go with the name Nagati. I'm from Egypt. I'm a computer engineer. I worked for Fawri, Kareem, and Halan, and luckily the three became unicorns at a point in time. I also happen to be a co-owner of the largest fintech fund in Egypt called Disruptic, the second largest accelerator called Cash Cows, and I acquired an investment marketplace called Exits, whom I'll be talking about today. And I'm stating a problem, and I hope that someone in this room can help us with this. So, first of all, I come from the startup world. Unlike many people here who come from the capital world and the high net worth, I came from the startup world. To make it easier for everyone, the startup scene have been growing by more than 20% in the last 5 years. And around $10 billion have been deployed in our region in tech startups. And this is just growing and growing. And we hear the big ones, like we hear M&T Halan, which I was luckily part of, that raised $400 million last year, a total of $800 million. We hear about Kitopi, we hear about the big ones. But there are many smaller ones that raised combined in the MENA region around $8 billion. Many of them weren't even went to the news. So I'm talking about the whole industry here. And there are a lot of big players in the region that are investing in startups like STV, like Wamda Capital, and many others. And we have seen a lot of support from also governments and innovation hubs like Hub 71 in Abu Dhabi and many others that have been supporting us in the last years. Let's speak about the capital markets and how they overlapped with some startups and tech companies. In Egypt, for example, which is my home country, in the EGX, we saw the IPO of Fawri, whom I was an investor and an employee in. And the IPO of Fawri was a big thing in Egypt. It was the first tech company to reach the public offering, and it reached a valuation crossing $1 billion in the Egyptian stock exchange, and it was at a point in time in the top 5 largest in Egypt. It was followed by eFinance, which is also a tech company, semi-owned by the government, and the PIF is an investor now in eFinance. But we didn't see any smaller players. And let me also be honest, in the UAE, we saw Parkin and Salik, and in Saudi Arabia, we saw the IPO of Jahiz, and we're going to see the IPO of Rasan soon, which is a very big insurance aggregator. Rasan, for example, which is a very big insurance aggregator, has a top line of around 14 billion riyals, and the net profit is more than 20%. It's a very profitable company. So Rasan can be IPO'd, and Fawri, and eFinance, and Jahiz, and Salik, and Parkin. But what about the rest? Around 4,000 startups are there waiting for someone to put money in, and many investors want liquidity. I just don't want to cross my time, so I'm trying to be as fast as I can, but it's a very big problem. And honestly, I think that, for example, the Qatar Stock Exchange can do this, or the UAE Stock Exchange can do this. They can help us or help our industry to reach the liquidity they want and to reach the power they want of the liquidity, because we as a VC, I wear the hat of a VC sometimes. We don't want to put money in a company and just have it there, and we are unable to cash it out. And I'll quote Rami here when we were in Alamein. He told me liquidity comes at a price. We are okay to have a discount. We are okay to have a hit, but give us the liquidity. And also the impact on the economy is crazy. Like Halan, which is a 7-year-old company, has 27,000 employees today. 27,000. Fawri has a similar number. And Breakfast, whom I'm an investor in, has 5,000. So those startups are employing hundreds of thousands of people. And if you look at Amazon and Facebook when they were publicly traded, they were loss-making. They didn't make profit, but they allowed them to be public traded. I'm not asking for a change of regulation because this will be very hard, but I think that there should be a startup or a tech-focused exchange that can allow us to do this. And honestly, I don't think it's very hard because those startups are becoming bigger and are becoming more and more sustainable and are becoming more and more helpful for the economy and for the countries that are coming from. And as someone who's now running an exit marketplace, we have 2,845 startups registered on our platform. 2,845 that want to sell parts or sell secondary or sell whatever. We made 8 deals in 3 years. 8 deals out of 2,000 and something. So this shows how hard it is. And then exit takes a year. And sometimes the startup doesn't have the money for this year. Like I personally, and the group that we work with, we pay personal money for our startups to keep on going. We deployed more than $25 million in the last quarter, in Q1 in Egypt, to keep the startups alive because they cannot find funding. And the whole funding that happened in Egypt in the startups in Q1 was $8 million. So this is very sad. And let me also be honest, like the M&As and all that's happening, I'll speak about M&As and secondaries and primaries. I was speaking yesterday to Dave McClure, who's running one of the largest secondary share funds in the world. He's happened to be an investor with us in exits. He told me, I am looking for secondary shares in the startups in the MENA. I cannot tell him to buy because I don't know how he will get his money out. And he's a big boy from the NASDAQ. So if he gets stuck, his impression on our ecosystem will be bad. And I cannot take this risk with him. And even when he came, he wanted to give me $1 million. I told him I'll only take $100,000 because I'm also afraid that I cannot pay him back. So I want to make sure that he can be paid back. And let me speak about some case studies. We spoke about Fawry. Let me tell you real life examples. I placed $20,000 in Fawry in 2012, myself. This is an accurate number. I took $1.5 million from Fawry following the IPO. 20,000, $1.5 million. In Kareem, during the exit, we cashed out $2 billion to investors from Uber, from the Uber money. And they call us the Kareem cartel based on the PayPal mafia. It's a funny name. We're not bad people, but we started Halan, we started Maksab, we started Swivel. Not me, but my colleagues. And this is because we had money. We were able to cash out. And the last one is Fatura. It's a company that we sold to EFG Hermes last year. The founders made money. The VCs made money, so they doubled down. We have a lot of data. We have a lot of companies. Like this is our database if you want to have a look. And those are the teasers that we are mandated on. We have a lot of companies, but the problem is there are no ways to sell those at the right price. And the liquidity is impossible in 99% of the startups. We are speaking about a huge opportunity. We are speaking about something that many of people here can see it very small. It's more than $10 billion. It will be bigger and bigger. Amazon, Facebook, and all of those companies today are huge. If they didn't take their chance in the early 2000s, they would have not made it till now. So I'm asking the leaders of the exchanges and the people here, if possible, we just want a place where we can transact those startups easily without the 2 and 3 years delay, without the extreme bureaucracy, which is not only in Egypt. I'm trading in 7 countries, and we are much faster than the regulations because innovation is ahead of regulations. And I assure you that if this happens, this exchange might start small, but in 10 years, it will be much bigger than many others. Thank you, and Sorry for speaking longer than what I should. Thank you very much.